Oh my gosh, it's Wednesday again. What do we do every Wednesday? We join in with budget meals under $5. And here is the hostess with the mostest. She comes up with some great ideas and some clever meals under $5. It's getting harder and harder to do it, but we can do it if we really think really hard. Please, it's an open collab. Please go check out everyone that joined in and get all the clever meals they put together for under $5. And this is a great group full of inspiration for the kitchen. Now, Grandma is not quite as clever as they are, but I think you're going to be amazed at what Grandma was able to do today. I am amazed. I have never had so much good, yummy food that I have made, and even my husband said he couldn't believe how good all this food was. Now, we had to put 3 meals together. You know, to do it, we got to do 3 meals. One of the meals does cost quite a little bit, but we got 8 meals out of it, or 8 servings, 4 meals for me and Grandpa. There's only 2 of us. The second one, I was able to get 2 meals out of it. And the third one, I had made it with leftovers and it only made 1. But I will tell you, all 3 of them were wonderful. All 3 of them had Spam in it. If you like Spam, you better start watching these videos. I am totally amazed at what I'm coming up with. And most of these are just by accident or experimenting or seeing what we can put together on a budget. Just because things are getting harder doesn't mean we can't put something fabulous together. So, this is budget meal under $5. You want to see what Grandma did, and you know how much, what did I write down? Hang on. Okay, I made 3 different meals. One of them was only for one person, one meal. But we had a total of $13.50, but that was for 11 servings of food. The first one made 8 meals, the next one made 2, and the third one made 1. But I could have easily made 2 out of that last one if I had applied myself a little more. It's just a little short on the Spam, but it made a very generous 1 meal. So, sit down with your cup of coffee or tea or soda or whatever you're drinking today and be amazed at what you're going to see for $13.50, 11 servings. Think I did pretty good. Took 3 meals. It took 3 different recipes, but we made it. Opened one can of Spam. I got 12 slices altogether. I have 8 in this pan, and I'm cooking 4 more in a smaller fry pan. The smaller fry pan, like the last time, is cooking much faster. Now, some of these things I'm going to be putting together, hope you're going to enjoy. Always want to find something new and different that we can put together with Spam and see if we can get these meals for $5 or less. I like my Spam a little bit on the toasty side. I'm going to cook it 5 minutes on each side until it becomes toasty. This pan I'm going to be making some gravy in. This is a small fry pan. I had some Spam cooking in here before I started doing my gravy. Took the meat out when it was done cooking. I put in about a half a stick of butter and 2 heaping spoonfuls of flour. I stirred it around until the flour browned up, and then I'm going to put in about a cup of milk or until it's thin. I don't want it to be thick. I want it to be sort of thin because it's going to be a gravy for the dish I'm going to put today. So this is a quick, easy gravy to make that's not going to cost you much money. The milk was the most expensive thing I put in here. And this is going to make our budget stretch out. Now, you want to make sure that you have your flour brown thoroughly because you don't want it to taste the flour. You want it to be a yummy gravy, not too thick, not too thin. Mess with it until it's just the right texture you want. Have to add more milk. After I managed to get my gravy in the way I wanted it to be, not too thin, not too thick, I'm going to add my seasonings. Now, I added a little bit of Italian seasonings, garlic salt, lemon pepper, stirred it in, and tasted it to make sure it was the taste I wanted it to have. Now you can season with anything you want. You don't have to season like me, but just make sure that this gravy is not too thick because we're going to use it over our food. Well, in our second fry pan, we had 8 slices of Spam. Now, I like my Spam a little bit on the toasty side. We started about 4 to 5 minutes on each side until it got to where I wanted it to be. But please cook your Spam any way you want. Some people like theirs just warmed up, and some like it where it's real toasty. So you cook it the way you want and how you like it. In the same fry pan, after the Spam was done, I put some mushrooms in it and a little bit of butter to brown up my mushrooms. The total amount of butter I'm going to use on this part of the meal is going to be a half a stick. I'm not going to remove anything but just the mushrooms when the mushrooms are where I want them to be, where they're just a slightly little toasty, as you can see by this video. I'm going to carefully take them out, leaving most of the butter, or what I can, leave in the fry pan. Put it in a bowl for I can put my other ingredients in it. Next, I'm going to start with my cauliflower after the mushrooms are done. And the cauliflower, I'm going to add a little more butter to it. So it may look a little watery, but that really is just a little butter and the moisture coming from the cauliflower. I want the cauliflower to get a little tender. Once it's a little bit on the tender side, not all the way cooked, just a little bit, I'm going to turn it around, and you can see a little bit of coloring on the cauliflower. Then I'm going to stick it in the broiler. Now, I could have done it all the way in the broiler, but I didn't want it to get cooked too long. And when you put it in that broiler, I cannot tell you how much different that cauliflower is going to taste. It's going to have a whole different flavor to it. I do not want this cauliflower to get mushy. I want it to stay firm for when it's in the whole dish, it's still all intact. I don't like boiling my vegetables to death. I barely cook them. I want a little bit of crunch left to them. And as you can see, they got a little toasty in the broiler. Even if they get a little toastier than what I'm sharing, it's still okay. It will taste great. Well, here I've started cooking my Brussels sprouts. As you can see, I like them a little toasty also. But I don't want them cooked too much. Like I said, I like my vegetables just cooked slightly, and I want a little bit of crunch. I cut up my Spam into small bite-sized pieces, and I put some mixed vegetables in there when everything was almost done. Then I incorporated everything that I already cooked, my pasta, my gravy, and I left the mushrooms for last, because if you cook it like this dish is pretty reasonable. But adding those mushrooms adds $3.50 more to the menu. But I got 8 servings, 4 different days we ate off of this pot of pasta, and my husband loved all the fresh vegetables. He didn't even realize what the cauliflower was in the beginning. And I said, "That is cauliflower, what you're eating." And he couldn't believe the taste. But it tasted a little different than regular cauliflower because I toasted it in the broiler. That is the trick to this dish. Well, here it is. It's all been plated up. All my vegetables mixed into this dish. This has a lot of vegetables, some Spam, and pasta. But the vegetables are the star of this dish. And I love mushrooms, so I did incorporate those mushrooms into this dish. The cauliflower was wonderful. The Brussels sprouts were great. Like I said, I didn't overcook them at all. They were a little, maybe even undercooked a little. This dish lasted 4 different days, and if you had cooked those vegetables too much, they would have been mushy. Believe it or not, all those vegetables still tasted great on the 4th day. I couldn't believe it. I was worried if they would taste that great by the 2nd or 3rd day. They were great until the 4th day. But I was very happy how it turned out. Let me know what you thought in the comments section. Now, we have 2 more dishes. And with those 2 dishes, you know this is why I make 3. Because this one is going to push me out of budget for $5. But those other 2 dishes are going to put me way under, because they're going to hardly be any cost at all. You're going to be amazed at what I put together. And I'm telling you, they were so good. I'm going to be making those dishes again in the future. So wait and see what I did. This is a medium yam. It's not a tiny one, but it's definitely not a big one. I would start cooking this potato at about 3 to 4 minutes and then stick a fork in and see if it's tender. When I put this in, it was totally intact, and I would check it every minute to see how it's cooking. Once it was soft enough to cut into with no trouble, I took it out of the microwave. Then in a small fry pan, I put in a half a stick of butter, and I put 2 heaping spoonfuls of brown sugar in there. Stirred it around until the brown sugar dissolved in the butter, and then I had my Spam that was already cooked earlier and had it cut up and put it in there. Put it on top of my sweet potato, and that was all I did, except for one magic ingredient, and I didn't mix it in with the brown sugar and the butter because I already tried it and it tasted better like the way I'm going to share it with you. I sprinkled the cinnamon on top when I was done. I don't know why it tasted better, but it did. I tried it mixed in with the brown sugar and butter, and it was all right. I'm not saying it wasn't all right, but this was better tasting. It had more flavor, and this was wonderful. And you are not going to believe this is hardly any money at all. Just a few slices of Spam, a little bit of cinnamon, and some butter. And the butter I used for another dish, so we're not even counting the cost of all of that in this one dish. How cheap can you make a meal? And I'm telling you, when you taste this, you will not believe how easy this was to put together. Go check it out. I ate on this yam for 2 days, 2 meals for lunch. There was a lot of butter and brown sugar left in this bowl. And as you can see, there was a lot of Spam also. I said, I had way too much Spam here. Let's make another meal. I took 2 Hawaiian sweet rolls, cut them in half, rubbed the rolls around that brown sugar and butter that was already in the yams, so it had all that yummy flavor from the yams. See, look at it. There was plenty of butter there. So I rubbed that around, put it on the roll, and took that leftover Spam and made another meal. Oh my gosh, was it good. Now you got to keep in mind that Spam had that yummy flavor along with that wonderful butter and brown sugar and the cinnamon. Oh my gosh. And I put it on those sweet rolls, and that sweet savory taste, it was wonderful. I'm telling you, I couldn't stop eating it. I've got to try that one again. That was so great, and that was just like an accident meal. You can find lots of things to put a meal together for almost no money at all. Can you believe it? Only thing I used extra for this meal was those 2 Hawaiian sweet rolls. Everything else was leftovers. Leftover Spam, leftover yumminess. Well, the King Hawaiian sweet rolls were the star of our last one. But thank you all for stopping by. Thank you for all your kindness and support. Don't forget, this is an open collab. We do it every Wednesday. Budget meals under $5. Thank you so much. If you made it this far, you watched to the very end.